The intellectual property assets that I put in place in 2013 and 2014 drastically scaled the reach of my work, the impact, the income I made from the work, and these changes, these assets, they still cause daily growth after 10 years, which is why I even made this training today, because I want to share them with you and see if they can help you with your life changing, transformative work that you're doing, right? If you're doing your life's work, if you're doing something that is important, impactful, etc., has implications, society, communities, etc., like this is definitely the place to be. I'll explain this table that I have on screen a little bit more in the training. I'll be sharing some of what I did for context, some of the changes that took place and how much it changed my reach and impact and income, et cetera, to kind of, again, give more context around how powerful these assets or shifts that you can put in place are. But the training won't be about that. That will provide extra illustration of certain details. The training is about these structures, the four structures to replace in your coaching or consulting business so that you can build an audience and income around your ideas, not your labor. Okay. So I have learned how to execute on these shifts that I'm talking about, these changes that I made, these assets I put in place. I've learned how to execute on them even better after a decade of using them, and I want to share basically that 10 years worth of learning, trial and error, all of that with you today, again, to see if they can help you do the life-changing work that you are doing, maybe help spread it more, make more of an income from it, et cetera, et cetera. So, for context, the very first print book that I published was in 2013. It was called The Small Business Manual and Workbook Special Edition. I don't know why I called it a special edition. It was the only edition, which I guess makes it special and awesome. But it's a book that I sold primarily in person. It did sell some online, but I sold it mainly. I was teaching continuing education classes at the University of Texas at Austin at the time. And along with the classes that I taught, students bought the book to go along with the classes. So I was mainly selling it there in person. However, again, it did sell online. It got picked up by a couple colleges in the United States as required reading or like a textbook of sorts for their small business courses. Um, but even with all of that, right, I would say the earnings from the book averaged about $350 a month when I was when I first published it, right? And I would say that's nothing to write home to mom about, but it really was at the time because I had never done anything like that before. Published my own print book and it started earning money. It got picked up by colleges, which was wild because I didn't even pitch the idea. I didn't even think about that, to be honest. Um, okay, first print book. The second book that I independently published, it was kind of like a little bit of a business planning workbook and planner, kind of like editorial planner all in one. It was called Epic Blog. It sold only online and again was really a tool that people could use to plan out their content, their articles, podcast episodes if you wanted, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. By the time that I published that second print book in December 2014, I had put these shifts in place. I had put these structures in place in my business, the beginning version of them, right? I have definitely improved on the way I do them over the last decade, but I put these in place. And so by the time I published my second print book, the month I published it in December 2014, and for a long time afterwards, it was making about $3,000 a month. So it was making for me, a full-time income all on its own at the time, right? So we'll get into what were those shifts, what made that so different. And some months, because it was a planner, some months it made $5,000, $6,000, other months it made $2,000. So I just averaged out to the 3,000 per month. But anyway, I share this for context. We'll get into also the difference between my first online course and second online course, and then my website prior to making these changes and my website after making these changes. The first version I put up of my website was really, it listed my services, my consulting services, my design services. It had a portfolio of sorts, and really that was it, about page, et cetera, et cetera. The second version of that same website, so I relaunched it in early 2014, kind of mid 2014 actually. And I relaunched it. I had over 15 long form articles on it. I added more and more articles each month of 2014. And we will reveal shortly in this rectangle kind of what happened after putting some of these shifts in place. Hint, one of the main shifts we're going to be talking about in just a second is shifting from publishing so much depreciating content, content that depreciates or loses value over time. So in the case of social media content, it depreciates a lot moments after it's published, right? Hours for sure after it's published. We're going to shift from publishing so much content that depreciates to creating true business assets, content that appreciates, grows in value. So if we were to put content on a spectrum of sorts, going from something that depreciates all the way to something that appreciates. Towards the lower end, the depreciating end, we would have things like your LinkedIn post, your Twitter tweets, your Twitter threads, your TikTok videos, Instagram content, social media content in general, but also emails, right? Like even if you have a newsletter list of 1,000 people or 5,000, 50,000 people, the majority of the value that happens is it happens the moment you send that email out, right? That day that you send it out is when most people check that email. And then maybe a few people open it then the next day and the next day. But in general, right, it's not, it doesn't hold value for you a week later or a month later or a year later for sure, right? So emails would fit on the depreciating end, direct messages, maybe DMs on social media, text messages, one-on-one calls, if you're hopping on discovery calls, client calls, things like that. I'm not saying don't do any of these things, but again, the value happens in that moment, within an hour, within a day, something like this, right? And then a few days later, what's the value for you or for the people that could have, connected with your LinkedIn post, right? The value has gone down. Coming up a little bit on this spectrum would be things like maybe you are featured in a podcast, you've been interviewed for a podcast, or you have written an article for an industry journal or magazine, or you were interviewed or featured in that article, and this is something that people subscribe to and they get shipped to their office or their home and they leave it up on their shelves and they refer back to it every so often. Maybe you speak at a different or conferences and they record those talks and they redistribute them to members. And so, it doesn't hold value just the day that you do the conference talk. Maybe you appear on the news or something like this, and there's content that is now uploaded to YouTube and being replayed or something like this, right? Now, I will say about this middle section here, I have some asterisks here because these can or cannot be appreciating, right? So the podcast episode may live on for months and months and years after you record it. The conference talk may live on, or maybe the entity that is hosting you in these things only uses the conference talk during that day and for a month afterwards. So you can't when you're collaborating with other entities, the benefit is you're getting in front of their audiences, getting in front of people maybe who were not going to find you another way, but you can't really control how they distribute or don't distribute the content. You get the point. Now, moving all the way to the side that is appreciating content, we have articles that you publish on your site, essays or thought pieces that you publish online, YouTube videos that you publish, a search engine optimized podcast that you might have, books, ebooks that you write, articles on Medium. Maybe you really like Medium as a platform and you write articles there. Well, those are search engine optimized. People can find those a year later, 2 years later, etc. Okay. So if I was making a super long title of this quick class for some reason needing to make a super long title, it would be how to publish intellectual property assets that appreciate, grow in value as a coach or consultant so that you can increase your impact and consistent revenue as a thought leader without dancing on social media 3 times a day. I don't know why I made that long title, but you get the point. All right, some examples from clients of mine, friends of mine, of the types of assets we'll be talking about. All right. Number one, again, ebooks and books. This is Bring in Donuts by the lovely Darcy Miller JD, kind of a manual of soft skills and different things that you can do to really stand out in your career, transform your career. Two podcasts I have on screen, one by Dr. Angelina Davis, Black Girls Consult 2, and another one by Jordan, System Save Me. Then we have some essays and thought pieces on screen, one by Dr. Toyin Ali, The Secret Life of an Academic Entrepreneur, and also one by Shanae of Jamila Studio around why you need to detangle yourself from hustle culture as a woman of color. And then I have a screenshot of an essay that I wrote in 2021, just doing the math, doing the years. And also, so you'll know what kind of person you're dealing with here, the title of my essay is Social Media is All Fun and Games Until Somebody Realizes They Are Sharecropping. So, your ideas deserve an elevated platform. The work you do is important to you, it's important to the world, to different communities you help, your industry, whatever it may be, and you don't want to blend in with the blah that exists in your industry. And in reality, you really can't afford to blend in. If you want to have the type of impact that you have on your mind, if you are trying to grow the income that you make from your work, from your intellectual property, you cannot afford to blend in with the blah, 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 blah in your industry. So I want to help you become a prolific publisher of your ideas, your frameworks, your approaches to problem solving, but I want to help you do it in a way that takes less time, not more labor, right? It has far more reach and impact in less time. Okay, so in this quick training, I'm taking you through how to build a solid structure with your thought leadership. It's going to be one that raises your online profile, opens endless opportunities for you to do your life's work and to get paid well for it. So we will so you have this foundation of this structure, zero, you already have it. I'll tell you about it in a moment. And then we're going to build these three fancy columns here, hand drawn, you're welcome, and then put a little roof on it and go on our way. Okay, so I will introduce myself. That does help to know who is talking with you. So, hey, I am Regina Enegiano. And my last name and my family are Igbo, from Nigeria. So, okay, after years of starting and running in-person businesses, such as a cleaning business, a small design firm where we met with clients and delivered certain things in person, I accidentally stumbled upon something pretty epic about the internet. And it was the fact that anyone who had something meaningful to share could potentially become an infopreneur, an information entrepreneur, meaning you're selling books, you're selling workbooks, courses, templates, different knowledge-based products, right? Even knowledge services like consulting or coaching could fit as well. And you could do this all online, you could deliver it online, you get the point. I personally started out selling $3 ebooks once I kind of transitioned to mainly online business. I was selling $3 ebooks back in 2013. I ended up creating dozens of workshops and courses, and other books. My first print book, as we talked about, Small Business Manual, became a required textbook, for a few colleges in the US. And my second independently published print book, Epic Blog, sold around 12,000 copies in the first few years, earning over 100,000 in profit. So I have had the honor and pleasure of being featured and interviewed for Fast Company article, writing a few pieces for Entrepreneur, um, speaking on stage for a Black Enterprise conference, at ConvertKit conference, and for several Teachable conferences, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I it started online again with the ebooks and all of this, eventually grew an email list of 50,000 plus people, started running a full-time health and wellness business online as well, just, because I wasn't busy enough. Taught over 20,000 students in our online schools. And my two main sites, my site formerly known as By Regina and my health focus site, each had around 5 million page views in 6 years. Okay, it felt like if I can be honest, it felt like there was an unlock code, I guess, a bit to the internet, right? A way that we could finally level the playing field a little bit on income opportunities for people who have traditionally been disenfranchised, underrepresented, etc. So I set out on a mission at the time to help others create an amazing income online, become infopreneurs. But the years passed and my mission changed. And what I want to bring to you now, I want you to not just become an infopreneur. It's so important to make money off of your own intellectual property, all right? But I want you to become the gold standard of thought leadership in your industry, right? You go into a bookstore, there are typically the top books on all the topics under the sun, self-development, business, finance, gardening, whatever it may be, um, are written by one type of person, and I want that to change. I want your work to be the gold standard in your industry. So it's no longer enough for us to be making good money from our ideas. That's great. But I want you to prolifically spread your ideas and transform the world with them, or transform the communities that you care most about, or the industry that you're in. You're a thought leader, right? This is your year to publish high value, meaningful content and solutions for the problems that your industry, that society as a whole, community that you care about, clients, whoever, are having, the problems they're having in clearer and more thought-provoking ways than others. Okay, I hope this training helps you, and I hope it really helps you know what to prioritize as you continue on your thought leadership journey, or perhaps you're starting from scratch with your thought leadership journey. All right, so let's get into the 4 structures that you need as a thought leader to raise your online profile and build an audience around your ideas, not your labor. Okay. So the first thing, like I was talking about, is, well, point zero, if you will, is your foundation. And you already have this. If you're here, if you were interested in this quick class at all, you already have this. And that is, you are doing, your goal is life-changing, transformative work. You are doing your life's work, and or your goal is just doing the stuff that really, really deeply matters. Okay. So if you are doing that, and again, probably wouldn't be here if you aren't, if that's not your goal, then, whatever. But if you're doing that, you have zero. So now let's put our columns and our roof, and those are going to be our 4 structures that you really need. All right. So structure number one, we are going to work on replacing depreciating social media content and one-hit wonders that you put on social media with appreciating intellectual property assets. And those IP assets are going to play out inside the critical publishing cycle. All right. So column number one is the critical publishing cycle, and I will take you through what that is. All right. Most people spread their ideas and grow their potential client list online in the most difficult way possible. And once we talk about this, you won't be able to unlearn it, or kind of like, yeah, get it out of your mind as why this is so, you'll get it. Again, most people spread their ideas and grow their potential client list online in the most difficult way possible, because most people grow their audience online with depreciating content. All right, again, that's content that decreases in value to you and to others after it's released. Most social media content holds little value moments, hours after you publish it. A few days later, does it even exist? Let's be honest, right? Yet, this is what most people heavily rely on to grow their ideas, their audience, and their platform online. And we're not even mentioning, well, I guess now I'm mentioning the fact that, of course, you don't own those platforms. They can kick you off at any given time. They can, you know, um, kind of reduce the reach that you have, et cetera, et cetera. I have a friend who had a very important online brand, very deep message behind what she was talking about, and a platform that shall remain nameless, after she had amassed 60,000 connections. There were 60,000 followers on this platform. They deleted her page, and she just said, "Oh, I think we thought it was some kind of, spam. It wasn't. And no, you can't have it back." And she has to this day not gotten it back. And you get the point. So Not even mentioning that, my point around social media, though, is about okay, if you build your audience with depreciating content, you're entering, signing up for kind of unintentionally by default this never ending, ruthless cycle of having to publish more and more and more and more for the chance to keep growing, for the chance to keep growing. And another big thing is you are competing. If you do this, you're also competing with the majority of people in your industry when you choose this depreciating first strategy. And what I mean by that is if you prioritize social media or spend a lot of your marketing time on social media, that's a depreciating first platform or set of platforms, and therefore a depreciating first strategy. You're putting first, again, unintentionally necessarily, but you're putting first platforms that really the value deteriorates moments after you publish it, right? And okay, competing with the majority of your industry. What do I mean? I have a study on screen from an organization called Domo from 2021 that shares things like this, right? Every minute of the day, literally every 60 seconds of the day, 575,000 tweets are shared on Twitter. And we can, adjust for the fact that this is a few years later, so it's probably even more, right? 575,000, over half a million tweets every minute, every 60 seconds of the day. 65,000 photos on Instagram, 240,000, almost a quarter of a million on Facebook, 2 million Snap situations sent every 60 seconds of the day. So that's what I mean by you're competing with everybody, the majority of your industry, and all of these other um, con entities creating content for their various reasons. You're competing with all of that at the same time, right? Growing with depreciating assets or giving too much time to depreciating assets means more work for you. When you stop working, you stop growing. And the worst part is you're not even really creating assets that help to build your credibility. A viral tweet doesn't compare to publishing a popular book on a topic in your industry. A viral Instagram post doesn't do as much for your reputation as a really well put together essay or podcast or article series. Tweet versus very popular book, you get the point. You have the opportunity to outthink your industry by adopting an appreciating first focus, meaning you can grow your client list and your platform with appreciating content. Appreciating content is content that increases in value to you and to others after it's released. Most evergreen long form content like podcast episodes, online articles, books, YouTube videos, essays, etc., are consumed more after they're published, after they're released, after they're published, than the month that they're released. So, as an example, I sold a few hundred copies of my second book the month I published it, but I sold over 3,000 in the first year and over 12,000, or it was around 12,000 within a few years. Okay. And to date, it has earned over $100,000 in profit. This is something that I heard time and time again. I never heard of you before, but I found your book on Amazon. I bought it, and after reading it, I had to reach out. I bought your other course. I want to work with you one on one, da 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 da. And my book on Amazon wasn't even one of those books that's like low key designed just to get somebody to then buy your $20,000 consulting package, which, listen, if you write a really helpful book and direct people to your consulting package, there's no problem with that. But there are a lot of books nowadays that it's just like a thinly veiled, just a full sales pitch for 50 pages, right? It was not like that at all. And so, anyway, I say that to say this appreciating form of content was growing my audience as a byproduct, even though it was a paid product. So instead of focusing on the highest competition, social media, and lowest return on investment, social media, form of content that there is, hoping to grow a mature audience out of that, a mature audience around your ideas and your thought leadership using this high competition, high noise, low return on investment thing, why not spend your time on intellectual property assets that grow over time and publish them in popular places that fewer people are willing to prioritize and work for? And what I mean by that is on this same chart, the image graphic by Domo, it shares things like the fact that every minute, every 60 seconds of the day, there are 5.7 million searches conducted on Google. People looking for answers, guidance, information, products, because there are also 6 million people shopping online every 60 seconds. There are 283,000 US dollars spent on Amazon every 60 seconds of the day. Okay. There are also, so your book could exist on that platform, right? Or your articles, your podcast episodes could exist, your YouTube videos could exist to answer the questions or answer those searches, right? Provide the product that those people want to buy. YouTube, users stream, so they're watching or listening to, most likely, right? Watching or listening to 694,000 minutes of, or excuse me, 694,000 hours of content every 60 seconds of the day. So that's how many people are streaming content every 60 seconds, so that we get 694,000 hours being streamed every minute. Okay. Even Netflix, right? And this might not be everybody's goal to have some kind of documentary on Netflix, but I have some friends who are featured in some nonfiction content on Netflix that is around like thought leadership, and it's, you know, it's meaningful. And so even there, 452,000 hours of Netflix content are streamed every minute of the day, right? So you have the potential to be in these platforms, whether Google searches or Amazon or YouTube or, you know, whatever it may be. You have the potential to be in those places and to grow your client list, your platform with appreciating content that's just going to keep working for you. So when I was growing back in 2010, when I was growing an in-person business, I heard all about and followed the advice to use some like traditional in-person marketing techniques. And I heard about this newfangled social media situation, and I just needed to use it. I was told to grow my business, you know? And so by the time, so a few years later, 2013, I did use things to kind of grow my in-person business, but in 2013, when I was starting to sell mainly digital services and products, or wholly digital services and products, I made the mistake of just trying to use those same methods for something that really didn't require them, or didn't, it wasn't the best strategy, right? So I realized that, you know, trying to grow every customer on social media was this time intensive long game, and it had no future ROI in that, like that hour that you're putting in on you know, in that morning, and then you get on there for 2 hours that afternoon and all of that. It holds value for you in that moment, potentially, if you're able to connect with one, you know, potential client that day. But um, that work that you just put in a week later, a year later, a month later, even, right? It doesn't, it's not giving you any return on that investment. So I deprioritized social media, and I built two really important assets in 2013 and early 2014. Number one, I ended up independently published those two books we talked about. And then number two, I built this collection of 30 plus articles. I started with 17 when I relaunched my site, added more throughout the year. And then even 2015, I kept publishing more and more articles beyond the 30 mark, right? And what happened? Well, I started to get in front of 40,000 plus new people each month. On screen, I have a screenshot from my Google Analytics, which tracks, you know, just the visits to my site and how much time people spend on my site, et cetera, et cetera. And it is a shot from December 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2014. So 1 month, and there were 45,000 34 new users, so over 45,000. So the thing is, I was getting these visitors to my site each month, which was helping me earn the $3,000 in profit each month from my second book. And guess what else? The thing is, my social media accounts grew as a byproduct because a lot of those 45,000 people would find their way to their favorite, Insta, LinkedIn, whatever they preferred, and they would start following there. They would subscribe to my email list. This is what helped me build the 50,000 person email list, so on and so forth. Okay. So really honestly, just two appreciating intellectual property assets at first. My second book and my website articles literally changed the course of my life, the course of my work, my impact, what I was able to do online. And I only spent a few hours per year creating content for social media, not per day. And yes, this is still possible 10 plus years later because you can grow your client list and your online platform with appreciating content. Millions upon millions upon millions of people still use Google every minute, right? Apparently, YouTube, Pinterest, they use these search engines every day looking for answers, solutions, ideas, knowledge, etc., products, etc., right? Also, millions of people shop online each day. They already have their credit card details loaded, ready to go when they're on sites like Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, whatever it may be, right? They're conducting searches on these book marketplaces. They're conducting searches for books with a buyer's intent. They're not somebody who wants to, they're not getting on these platforms thinking that the books are going to be free for some reason, right? So these are people who want to spend money to get their questions answered or to get help in the thing that you help with, and you could be there every single day growing your platform, right? I have a book that I published at this point 9 years ago, if I'm doing math correctly, and I still get sales of that book each day, right? Also, millions of people prefer and seek out longer form videos, longer form articles, audio episodes, podcast directories, or they seek out these things in podcast directories, in journals, in publications, etc. Millions of people prefer content that appreciates, right? And for those for for thought leaders who are trying to build a mature audience of an audience of people who are willing to think about something in a different way. A lot of the times, in addition to, yes, there's the potential to use social media, but a lot of times those people are interested in the book or a longer video on YouTube or an article, or they want something they can hold or print off, or you get the point, right? So prioritizing, appreciating intellectual property assets means your social media will grow as a helpful byproduct if that is something that you are concerned about. But like, oh, but won't I? Yes, it can still grow as a byproduct. One example that comes to mind for me is Eugenia Diaz, who, all right, so she and her partner, they bought this abandoned land in Portugal, and they built a house on it. They kind of, just re just did some regenerative practices and actually started farming on this land. And they make these ridiculously beautiful and helpful and inspirational and wonderful videos on YouTube that are long. They're long. They're longer form content, and they actually kind of started quite recently in this. And guess what? There's social media with this long form content that are appreciating assets. New people are finding it every day. Their other social media accounts are growing as a byproduct, and they're able to sell a more for an ebook, a more high ticket ebook that is kind of guides for somebody who wants to build their own house according to their plans, and then a kind of mid-ticket ebook that it's the farm to table garden guide that Ahania sells, right? And so they're able to sell these things each day, grow their audience each day using this intellectual set of intellectual property assets that are increasing in value every single day. So you can have assets that exist and grow your audience because of where they are and what they are. They can grow your audience and your sales day and night without any additional work from you. And that is so important in, again, making sure that people are connecting with and valuing your ideas, not just your labor. Am I suggesting for you to not use social media, not necessarily. I'm just suggesting that you use it sparingly and purposefully inside the critical publishing cycle. So let me take you through that. Think of critical publishing as like the wiser, richer auntie of critical thinking, okay? It is a cycle that has you publishing your best content. All right, so it starts with an input. So this might be a problem or a pattern that you notice in your industry, or a common prescription, or solution that people, dish out that you're like, well, we're missing something there. That's not really going to solve this problem, right? So it starts with some type of input. It's something like an ember or a seed that it sparks something inside of you. Maybe you're upset about it, maybe you're excited by it, maybe you're just processing, but it's an input. Then you form an idea out of this in stage two. So you take something that's just like this input, and you make sure there's some type of valuable perspective here. You have something that you can communicate to another person about this problem or pattern or other input that you noticed. Okay, I'll kind of go through these more in a second. This stage after that is maturation. You mature your idea, you age it a little bit, right? And you're going to refine the idea through layers of thought leadership. So that you know that it's not only some kind of valuable perspective that you can communicate, that you came up with in stage two, but it's something that will actually stand out as true thought leadership. All right, so you take it through a maturation process. Then as you publish your idea online, you move it up up to a new ladder rung each time you publish it, right? And so what this means is basically you upcycle it. Every single time you publish it, you're making it better, right? So it started out as a tweet, and then you kind of put your thoughts together a little bit more and you made a Twitter thread, or you graduated it to being a LinkedIn article. And then you kind of, every stage you're getting reactions, you're starting conversations, people are commenting, they're asking questions, they're adding their ideas. Oh, have you heard about this? Da, da, da. And you are refining your idea and making it even better as you move it up the ladder rungs. And every stage and every format you put it in and platform that you put it on, you actually design the idea to take advantage of that platform fully, right? So that's stage five, which is design your idea for distribution. You center your decisions around how you're going to package, format, present this thing for the channel it's going to be on so that you get the full benefit out of it. And I'll explain that more in a second. I will say we have an entire module on critical publishing inside the 3-day Thought Leadership Content Strategy course. And we also have a practice module, really. It's a bonus 28-day intellectual property push. Think of this as like a challenge that helps you put the critical publishing cycle into practice. So for now, I'm giving you a quick overview of these stages, that we cover much more deeply elsewhere. If you're interested later, you can go to prolificpublisher.com/TLC, like Thought Leadership course, for more details about that. But okay, stage one, input, the simplest stage of critical publishing, because you just need some kind of ember or seed that you get excited by or bothered by, or you're observant of something in your industry. You're going to curate these embers, filter out anything you don't want to make a full-fledged idea off of, right? And you are going to um, develop this is going to be what develops into your helpful ideas. But right now, when it's an input, you're looking for patterns, something recurring that you notice in your industry that maybe no one else seems to notice or comment on thoughtfully. You're looking for problems or pains, maybe an industry-wide or goal-wide problem, meaning everyone who has the goal of publishing their first novel, or everyone who has the goal of transforming the culture in their organization. Everyone kind of runs into these problems or pains, or most everyone does, right? And so you kind of pay attention to that, and now you know you have an idea for solving that in some way. Prescriptions again, right? What are the current solutions and hacks that everyone talks about or prescribes in your industry? What are they lacking, and why is your approach better? Pre-work, right? Before a client comes to work with you, what should they do before they get to the step that the next step, or before they even try to like work through the step that they think they're on, what do they need to do? So you could, the input could be just like an idea around the pre-work that's necessary, and it might be more mindset related, or it might be practical things like, hey, before you da, 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 here are some things to think about, right? So after you have your input or inputs, it's time to form a valuable perspective you can start to communicate. So now you're in stage two, idea formation, and you're going to ask yourself the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the around this input. Okay. And so who, this is questions related to the stakeholders of this observation that you made, of this pattern, prescription, whatever, pre-work, right? Um, who is most harmed by this? Who benefits from this the most? Who is even able to access this or understand this? Who can't access and understand this? So you'll ask yourself questions like this, right? What is around like exposing hidden layers that can illuminate what this thing really is. The why is around uncovering why this thing really matters. When did this way of thinking first emerge? When should someone implement this? When should someone ignore this? When are we likely to not need this thing anymore? So you're asking yourself, in the thought leadership course, we have this dashboard that has, a dozen questions or so per category to kind of help you take this seed and make sure you can form it into an idea. And I always encourage people in the course to come up with your own questions as well, related that are maybe more specific to your industry. Okay. So then let's say that you've taken your input in stage one, you have filtered it through this basic layer of the who, what, when, where, why, how, whatever, whenever, wherever, whatever, Maxwell. Next, in stage three, you're going to filter your idea through some layers of thought leadership, thinking or framing, so that you're making them truly transformational. The thing is that most people stop at stage two. They get this input, they maybe kind of like think about it for a second, ask a question or two, maybe not like consciously, but like they've at least somewhere in there have basically come up with the answers to these, that maybe the what or the who or question, and then they communicate the idea, and that's it. And they don't publish it again, they don't, ladder it up, et cetera, et cetera. And that's honestly why the internet is filled to the brim, if you will, with the content that you encounter every single day, and you're like, bruh, honestly, you could have just not posted this. So we got to take it through, we got to mature it, we got to age it, right? To really display thought leadership, to really display something that is stand out. I don't come across this every day. You're going to want to take your idea through layers of either gaps or angles. So you're going to fill in some of the gaps that people need filled before they invest energy and money into the transformational goal that you want to help with, and or you're taking this thing and you're sharing from different angles, these compelling angles where most people maybe only hit a topic from one or two angles. You have these additional kind of like thought leadership style angles that you can come at an issue from. So for our gaps, we have gaps like the belief gap, context gap, support structure gap, differentiation gap. And for our angles, we have angles that we go through in more depth in the class: future, translation, disconnection, or connection, meaning you are disconnecting two kind of concepts from each other that are hurting people to keep connected. Well, if I do this, I have to do this, or this means that. And it's like, it actually does it, right? And so disconnection, and then something we call manifesto or club rules. All right, so I'm going to give you some examples here. We're not, don't have time to go through all of them, but I'll give you some examples. So for the differentiation gap, where you need to show that your approach, your problem solving, your frameworks, your thinking on a topic are distinct and, yeah, very different from what other people in your industry are doing, you would want to fill the differentiation gap. So these are just some examples. We have way more prompts in the class, and then we actually just go through what each of these things mean. But here's one example, okay? We're in the number, insert number here, wave of some key thing in your industry, which is why blank isn't working anymore. Here's this filled in. We're in the second wave of professional podcasting, which is why the old business plan, relying on sponsorships and doing this and that and the other, that's why it's not working anymore. And here is what you need to know about the new wave, about the third wave of professional podcasting or whatever, or the second wave of professional podcasting. Or here's another example of, prompt that you could use to kind of get at differentiation. It's safe to say we've entered a new era of blank, which this would be something in your industry that's important, but it's not obvious or overdone. Here's why, and here's how type of person is adjusting. Insert type of person here. So here's this filled in. It's becoming clear that we've started a new era of micro farming for profit. Here's how you can tell, and here's how beginner farmers can adjust their blank or can launch their own micro farm or whatever. Micro farms being the smaller plots of land for compared to traditional farms, a quarter of an acre of land where you are growing food for profit, right? So that's microfarming. But anyway, side note of stuff that I am way too interested in. So you can use this style of prompt or the style of content to communicate how deeply you think about your industry. Which is the industry that encompasses the reader or watcher or listener's most important goal or a very important goal or need, right? You use content like this as a place to communicate what's different about your framework, what's different about the way you think, the way you approach things, what's different about working with you. Here's another example. This is an example prompt for support structure, okay? So you might try this. What most people will never understand about you, someone attempting to build this, do this, be this, blah, 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 is that blank. Here's this filled in. What most people, including your dean, the provost at your school, da da da, will never understand about you and the type of professor you work every single day to be is blank. So this is kind of, this is a prompt or this in general support structure in general is around is about showing people that you truly get their environment, what they see or hear or experience, deal with daily, their struggles, the way their schedule is set up, their circumstances that are unique to someone like them, someone who has their specific role in life or in a particular company or organization or family unit, someone who has their specific values, right? So if you think about this professor who's struggling with the way the chair of their department or their dean or whatever is putting these unrealistic expectations on them and not really understanding who they are and what the change they're trying to bring to this university and to students, you can imagine that if they were reading, listening to whatever, someone's like, hey, like what your dean will never understand about you and it would feel like, okay, wait, who? You're talking to me because I feel frustrated every single day, right? So where most people, I'll say, I use the word like target in marketing sense, and where most people target people, they kind of do this basic demographic hit of like this gender between this age, and they have this career or they like this one thing. With support structure content, you are displaying that you get that they are the Venn crossover of more than those three things, right? You hit on their values, the roles they hold, the things that they care about. Yes, their interests and some demographics too, but more the psychographics. What makes them tick? What makes them make the decisions that they make? Your content and even your targeting in marketing can be designed around that, right? Um, you want to show that you get the lack of support that they experience around this goal and what can be done to bolster that, okay? And then you always want to make sure that you don't forget to tie in to this content the action that you want these people to take, right? The new way you want them to think, the program of yours you want them to check out. So those are just some examples. Next, in stage four, and we have more of those in the class, definitely if you're interested. Stage four, you're going to move your idea up a ladder rung. So publish one rung at a time. You make it as a Twitter thread, learn from the results, or you make it as an Instagram story, poll people, see how people interact with it, learn from the results, and then upcycle it. All right, and you have more time to think about it, and you've read an additional book or two since then, and you've da 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 da, so you can make a better idea out of it, make a better argument, make a better, whatever, right? So laddering or upcycling means that instead of a content strategy where you publish the same thing or the same-ish thing, right? You did it as a tweet and then you pushed it through to Facebook just like that, but then you resize the image for Instagram and then da da da. Instead of publishing the same-ish piece in multiple places, which is recycling or repurposing, which everyone online says to do, content lettering actually involves taking fewer pieces, so you're not, making a whole bunch of pieces and making them available everywhere. You're taking fewer pieces and you're upcycling them as you publish them in new formats or places. So visually, I might represent the rungs of a ladder, bottom rung going up, going up, going up to all the way to the top rung, from left to right here, where your roughest form of your ideas is on the bottom rung of the ladder on the left side, and then you make those ideas better and better and better and better, the way you communicate them better and better and better until it's well formed and then even crystallized. And when you're planning what platforms you want to be on, what kind of content you want to create, you can either start from the crystallized end or the rough end. So on the crystallized end, you would say stuff like, I want to give the TED talk on this, or the TED talk of my industry, speak at this conference. I want to have an article in Harvard Business Review, HBR. I want to be featured on HGTV, with my tiny living, shipping container building business, whatever it is, right? So you go with the most crystallized. I want to write the book on it. I want to do this, that, the other. Then you can kind of work backwards and go, okay, what types of content and where do I need to publish that's actually going to help me land um, HBR, HGTV, this and that conference? What kind of content can I publish that's going to help me have the materials I need for the book that I want to write, the audience I need for the book that I want to write, whatever it may be. So you can kind of work backwards, or again, you can work forward. So for example, if you're someone who's like, look, I love what you're saying about social media, cool, 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 but I love Instagram and I want to be on Instagram at least for a little bit. Perfect, no problem, right? But so then you could work from rough form. You could go, okay, I'm gonna release something as an Instagram story first or an Instagram live. I'm going to see how people react, what questions they have, da da da, boop, boop, boop. Then I'm going to make a reel or like a video out of it. I'm gonna move it up to an Instagram carousel, something like this. And then when I kind of really have had some feedback, some questions, maybe people added some insights. Oh, have you thought about this? Da da da. Then, and I've had a few weeks to just kind of process it, or a month or two or whatever, I'm going to send it out as a newsletter to my email list and then put it as a real well thought out article, essay on my site, et cetera, et cetera. You get the point. So I'd like to think of it as going from the depreciating bottom rung of the ladder to appreciating, or temporary content that is going to eventually graduate into evergreen content, regular to rare, short term to long term. You get the point. So I give a lot more examples in class, but I'll go through a few here. So you might look at rough form content as things like direct messages, text messages, social media lives, or you might decide, oh, I'm gonna every time I reply or answer a question on social media or in this community, LinkedIn community that I'm part of, I that's kind of me, my getting out I'm getting out rough form content, right? Ideas. I answer questions on Quora. I tune into what people are talking about on Reddit and join the conversation. Tweets you write, right? Then I'm going to graduate it, right? That which was a tweet, that which was a response on Quora is now an email to my list, or it's a LinkedIn post, or it's a short PDF guide, or it's a Twitter thread, or Instagram carousel. And maybe a little better formed would be, okay, now it's a podcast episode on my podcast, an article on my website, a YouTube video. Now it's even more well formed, like I'm turning it into a workshop, or I'm pitching a guest article for a magazine that I know my audience likes, a guest on a podcast, I'm turning it into a recurring ad, et cetera, et cetera. And then maybe the most crystallized things that you put out are books and essays and the HBR of your industry, the TED Talk of your industry, okay? And then the last stage, distribution, weighted design. So as you are planning all those things on this, on the laddering, cycle on the different rungs of your ladder, you're like, okay, when it exists as a LinkedIn article, or when it exists as I'm a guest on a podcast or a book or whatever, well, how do I design for that platform? Especially if you're going to be using social media, each platform has a different culture, it has different capabilities, has different strengths, has different things that make it tick, right? And it has like almost like an unstated contract, social contract of how you conduct yourself on that platform. And so with those things in mind and with the different formats, because you can make it an Instagram reel, or it can be a live, or it can be a this, or you can highlight it as a story and then da da da. You get the point. Um, how do you design for that, right? So let's take an example, or let's do an example. And this is a real life example for me, but let's say that you sell an evergreen workshop, or you sell a workshop that you host every single month, right? And right now, the way you do it is a few weeks before the workshop, you start posting flyers to the event. It's like a virtual workshop, but you start posting flyers on Facebook, like digital flyers, in Facebook groups, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, inviting your LinkedIn contacts on Twitter, etc., right? And you know that you have to do this every single month. So you're like, you know what? I do this every single month. I'm going to do things differently. So you love Instagram, let's say. And what you do is you design an evergreen Instagram carousel. It's not just a flyer, it is a piece of content that actually has people thinking. And this piece of content invites people to the workshop, but doesn't list the date of the event. It says something like, happening this month, happening next month, happening soon, click the link in my bio, whatever, better words. But it doesn't include any words or concepts that you know are outlawed, if you will, when you're running ads, because you know you want to publish this Instagram carousel as this organic piece. And then you want to turn it into an ad that you leave on for $1 a day, $3 a day, so that you are getting registrations, potentially getting registrations for your workshop every single day, right? Um, if you before you publish the piece, if you know that the primary purpose of this piece is going to be to increase registrations to your workshop, and there's secondary purposes, you want to grow your Instagram account, you can design this post to be something that is performs well organically, makes people think, and is not date specific, so you can turn it into an ad. So this is something I did. Um, I started doing this in this way. I've run different ads before, but I started doing this in this way probably in 2021, and have had the same ads. And I test out new ones, but I've had some of the same ads running since then. And you can do a lean budget, right, for this. But anyway, so my point is I designed this organic post before I posted it to serve this kind of like indefinitely purpose. Indefinitely purpose. Anyway, English is hard. So case study is generous here, but this is like a quick mini case study on um, a way that I have kind of like used the critical publishing cycle. Okay, so this is on social media and many different places. I was seeing and hearing people, say things like, you have to post 4 times a day, 5 times a day on Instagram to grow your audience, to be relevant, this is what you have to do as a business owner. Hey, here's how you hack this new algorithm. Here's what to do. And it was just annoying the crap out of me, if I can be honest. And so I started kind of planning some stuff in my little dashboard in stage two, like making it into an idea that could be helpful. And then I started publishing it and going through this cycle where I would say something about it on social media, have conversations about it inside client calls or workshops, say something else about it on social, kept creating better and better versions of it, and then finally created the Is Social Media Just a Modern Form of Sharecropping essay. And that one essay, it gets over 1,000 reads each month, and it's likely responsible for more than 30K of profit from for my workshop, or from the workshop, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so really quickly, I hit on this inside another class, but what about AI? You might be saying, right? Artificial intelligence, all this AI content is out there now. I'll just say this, if you're still here at this point in the workshop, you are witnessing the power of engaging people with helpful ideas over AI. because there's story that I'm weaving in. Um, there's case study, my experience. I have the years of consulting clients experiences going into this content, and it is something that AI can't do. You can do things that AI can't do. Obviously, you know that already. We get into that whole conversation in another place. But anyway, so that's our longest to cover it. That's our longest column. We will go through the other ones quite quickly, but that was structure number one. We're going to replace the one-hit wonders and depreciating social media with the critical publishing cycle and appreciating intellectual property assets. Okay. Structure number two. This is all about transitioning from disorganization, forgotten ideas, having your ideas and your notes and all of this research, whatever it may be, in all these different places, and moving to a system that actually helps you remember and connect things. So, an idea management system. This is structure number two, our second column. So, here's the deal: your system for managing your ideas, your inputs, your resources can actually help you publish better content that grows your platform. But right now, you probably interact with a lot of stuff. You're a lifelong learner, you actually enjoy learning, et cetera, et cetera. And you might have all of these things if you're like me. I know I interact with all of these, right? Books in some format, maybe digital books, print books, audio books, articles. Potentially, you have a magazine subscription, subscribe to specific industry journals, et cetera, or articles you read online, podcasts. Maybe you make notes and highlight various episodes from various different podcast authors, social media posts, following different accounts on different platforms, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, whatever. Um, you might interact with different research or conversations that happen with friends, colleagues, with clients. You get feedback, you get questions, you get ideas from the data you collect from your platform analytics, right? Your YouTube insights or your Instagram analytics, whatever it may be, your website analytics, you start to go, oh, this is what's working, this is what's not. Statistics published by other entities, graphs and charts and screenshots and things in images in your phone, images on your computer, and then you have your own kind of ideas and other different sparks, just like audio notes that you make for yourself, or maybe you have, if you're like me, maybe you have, 100 physical notebooks stored away with different ideas in them. You have Google Docs brimming with all these ideas, digital notes in your phone, stories that you're like, ooh, I want to remember that. That I could really kind of connect that to this thing or make a point. Maybe your stories, other people's stories, things that happen to you, etc. That would be a story. Article drafts, and then even after that, you probably have still somewhere or many different places of this list of ideas. Ooh, I should do this. I should write an article about this. I should make this as a YouTube video. And then you forget that list. It's not there anymore. And then you write it in this notebook. You get the point. Do you keep all of these things in the same place? Again, if you're like me, you maybe literally interact with all of these different things. Maybe it's only half of this list. I don't know. But either way, do you keep them all in the same place? Probably not. You have this notebook, this thing in your phone, but then sometimes it's a note, then there's some screenshots there, but they're not in a specific folder, et cetera, right? Most people's systems, different lists, notes, screenshots in different places, don't help them create better content. In fact, they forget so much of what they really wanted to put into things. And honestly, I think that you have so many different places that you record things and make notes and ideas and stuff because you have this fear of forgetting the idea, fear of missing out on being able to like publish this or make something out of it, right? And so you grab whatever's in front of you and make a note or make an audio note or whatever it may be. So you need to solve for all these things if you collect all of these things, or if you want to include all of these things in your work, in your research, in your thinking. How do you do that? Okay, I'll share my system as an example. You do not have to have this exact same system, obviously. But the first thing I do is I collect all the articles, YouTube video, whatever it may be, that I think are potentially valuable or that I don't want to have this FOMO, fear of missing out on how this article could really have something meaningful that I could just pull a nugget from here and it would help me make my case over here in this thing I'm working on so much better. I clip and collect all of those things that I think are valuable, but I really need to sort through them and think through them more before putting them in my special, more sacred place, right? Which is like my dashboard that I'll show you in a second. But anyway, I clip and collect using Evernote, okay, because it's searchable. So I can search a keyword if I remember a who, a what, a when, where, why, I can search it and get back to it. So I don't have to fear that I'm going to forget something or have a, resource FOMO, right? Um, Also, keeping them over here in this searchable place means I'm not cluttering my main ideas, like my ideas, or, yes, I'm going to add in other people's research or concepts or whatever. I'm going to allow that to kind of inform my work, but I'm not letting it clutter the place where I'm working through and creating content. Okay. So once I have, let's say I sort through whatever's in Evernote, I pull it, I pull only the valuable stuff, only the stuff that I know is going to add to what I'm working on. I pull that into my idea management center. So all of this is my system, right? Um, any thoughts that I have, stories that occur to me, notes that I know already are connected to my work, they're valuable, there's something I'm actively working on, I put them directly into my idea management center. This is something I have built out in a tool called Notion. I give it to everyone who registers for my 3-day thought leadership content strategy course. I will show you the magic of it in just a second, and it'll be like a 60-second tour. So you can get an idea of what you might want to build for yourself, or you can obviously come to the 3-day course. But anyway, this is, I only put stuff that I know is valuable, right? The stuff that I still need to read through is in Evernote. Into Evernote, in addition to what I said, like YouTube videos, maybe social media posts, et cetera, there's this one cool tool that I use. So if you are a Kindle reader, like you read on the Kindle app on your computer, desktop, laptop, or your phone, or you have a Kindle device, anytime you highlight a passage inside of a book, um, it actually, there is a web address that you can go to that Amazon provides that has only your highlights and notes from a book. What I do is I go to that web address and it's so easy. You can just import those things directly into Evernote, the same way I was just talking about. Or if you already know, like, I'm definitely going to use this or refer to this for this piece that I'm writing or this video that I'm working on, you could put it directly into your idea management center. But that's a really cool way, for example, to keep all of your digital notes from books that you're reading in your dashboard, or accessible to you, right? So there are different ways that I capture screenshots from my phone and put them in my idea management center, or different, images, graphs, things like that. I won't get into all of that right now, but what I will do is just give you a quick, like, 60-second tour of the idea management center so you can understand what is built into it and how you might use one. Okay, so this is the center that you get when you join the 3-day course, if you choose to do that. If not, you can kind of pull some ideas from this. I typically like to keep a really inspirational quote up there to keep me focused on my work. That one's by Chinua Achebe, one of my favorite Nigerian authors, but just authors of all time. Anyway, so you can keep some kind of basics, like who do I want my work to help? Who am I creating content for? You can create like a statement of, I help this type of person by doing this so that they can whatever, right? In the class, we take you through deciding which platforms kind of make sense for your goals, which platforms you're going to be on, what you need your content to do based on your thought leadership type, your thought leadership phase, all things that we talk about in the class. I'll skip past this stuff for now. What I'll kind of show you here is where you store your inputs. We have them kind of designed into this table. You can put a different status or type. I like to rate my inputs so I know kind of like where I stand on wanting to use it or get back to it. You can make notes on it, et cetera, et cetera. So we have that in there. And then, like I told you, we have these questions that you can ask yourself in terms of the who, what, when, where, why, how, when you're now taking your input. in stage one and forming it into an actual idea that you can communicate. Then we have this idea management center, or part of the thing where you can maybe map out your ladder, like, oh, rough form, better form, well formed, etc. And then you can keep your actual ideas. These are not just inputs, these are now ideas that you're actually developing. Like this one's a newsletter, this one's a guest podcast episode. And we actually have templates in here as well. So if you are adding an idea, whether to this board or later down here, we have it kind of arranged by the type of content is. So let's say you're coming in to create some micro content. You want to create an Instagram carousel, or you want to create something like that. You could come up here to new and say what the format is. And so in this case, I'll say we're creating a social media carousel. And then instead of a blank page, it takes a moment to populate, but then it gives you these like pre-filled, like pre-created sections and things that you want to fill out and solve for if you're going to be creating that type of thing. So then you would name it, say what, okay, this is my better form version of or rung of my ladder. My idea is to create something around XYZ topic. You get the point. Anyway, moving on. So this is kind of the section. Everything is expandable so that it keeps it kind of nice and neat. And then you have a publishing calendar, which kind of gives you a visual or gives you a calendar of when everything needs to be released. There's so much more that like is built into this dashboard and the way that you use it. There's a whole module on it inside the course, but I kind of just wanted to give you an overview. So this is the place where I keep all of my ideas that are truly in process that I'm working on, and I'm laddering them up and making them better and better, making sure I don't lose anything, lose any of my work, etc., etc. Okay, so that's a quick tour of that. Now let's move on to structure number 3. We're almost done because again, these are quicker. So the third column that we need in this great structure is, instead of a style where you may kind of create think up a new offer every time you talk to clients, completely rewrite your proposal or send off your proposal, or launch a new, ebook or mini course or whatever every single week or month, right? Instead of all of that, which can get disorganized and stressful and is not efficient, and can also kind of keep you from earning the real money inside your thought leadership. What we're going to replace that with is one pre-qualifying introductory product. Now, yes, you will have a deeper group coaching program or a deeper consulting offer after this, but all of the mess and the sales calls even that you get on can be, for most industries, I have found that my clients can replace getting on individual sales calls and doing this, that, and dancing around the internet with a scalable introductory info product. So it can be sold to many people at one time. You're not having to get on one-on-one calls for it, and it's an introductory product. It introduces people to your framework, to your way of thinking, problem solving, approaching um, problem solving. And the other thing about this is it's always available, right? So there's never a time where someone would go to the sales page of this thing or find out about this thing and not be able to buy it. So even if it's a workshop that you do every month or every other month, always on your website is the next upcoming thing. So if I land there in January and the next course, the next version of it isn't until February, that's fine, right? Or if it's later that month, fine. So it can be something you do live on a repeating basis, or it can be something that was already pre-recorded, already self-contained, like a book or something like that that's ready to go. Are you familiar with the term know, like, trust as it applies to marketing and sales? It's this concept, or basically you could say it translates to creating a lot of social media content over a long enough period of time that people come to know and recognize you, like you, and finally trust you enough to buy from you, right? People who employ know, like, trust the best end up spending a lot of money on their ads, or have a large team of people creating a lot of content for them, or spend a lot of their own time creating content in order to be able to execute on know, like, trust in a good way. You probably don't want that as your best case scenario. A lot of money on ads, a lot of your own time, a lot of people having to work for you. That's good if you don't, because there is, I'll say this, as someone who's doing important life-changing work, you have another option. All right. So What often happens when you employ know, like, trust as a thought leader, let's say you have this. This is an example character from the course, Rainelli. She's a systematic thought leader, which is one of the types of thought leader that we talk about. That's not important right now. It's important. There's a person who has a very meaningful health and wellness focused group program that she wants to sell for $5,000, $3,000, 8,000, whatever your price is, right? She spends about 10 hours a month delivering the program itself. In order to get people interested in and signing up for applying for the program, she gets on one-on-one calls right now, right? And so what she often finds is that she is doing 20, 30, 40 one-on-one calls in order to fill in her program. So this is now 30 hours a month that she would need in order to kind of get the sales that she needs for her program, right? But how do people get on those calls? Oh, that's right. Um, Posting 40 times a month on Instagram because, Rainelli heard that you have to post 4 times a day and she can't quite do that, but she's gotten you get the point. Posting, almost every weekday on LinkedIn, publishing 4 podcast episodes and guest da 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 da. And so altogether, right, we have 50 plus hours spent on creating content each month, 30 plus hours on these sales calls each month. It's not sustainable the way most people do know, like, trust. The other option as a thought leader involves creating evergreen content and an introductory product. So, right, Nelly replaces all of her one-on-one calls with one single introductory workshop. $350. It's her signature thought leadership workshop, multiple sessions that people can tune into. And she spends about 5 hours per month delivering it. Of course, you could have something that's pre-recorded in this slot. I've used a book there before. I've used pre-recorded webinars or workshops there before. But right now I have a system similar to Rainelli's, and I have a multi-session workshop, right? Okay, so she has a $350 workshop. And people who attend that workshop and get a good download on her framework and do some helpful work, they want to get into her group program. So it replaces sales calls for her. How do people get there though? Well, she has a thought-provoking video essay or text-based essay on her website that it doesn't require her any additional time each month, and people go from that essay to the to the sales page for the workshop and buy the workshop. Okay, and obviously there's more to it than this, and we get into it in the class. But then how do people get to her essay? And when I say more to it is like you probably would want to do more than just one essay. You would have other a set stack of stuff on your website that helps sell into this introductory product. And that introductory product, again, then could put people into your deeper group program or one-on-one offers. But anyway, how do people get to that essay? Well, you have a growing library of search engine optimized content or content that is optimized for a suggestion and search engine. YouTube, when you think about YouTube, it's both a search engine that people can go look for something, but it's also heavily a suggestion engine. You're on one video and it's telling you about 10 other videos that are related, or that video stops playing and it has other suggestions for you, right? So you could have your growing library of search engine optimized YouTube videos, podcast episodes, blog posts, and or you have some lean evergreen ads running. We have like an hour-long masterclass inside of our course around, setting up thought leadership ads, and the same around SEO for thought leaders. But so that's not the point right now. But maybe you spend an additional 5 hours per month on content on average, zero additional time on the essay that sells into or it leads people into the workshop. 5 hours a month delivering your workshop, and then you have your 10 hours a month on the same 10 hours a month on your group program. Okay. This actually works. This is real. My two introductory products in 2014 were not a blog, a book called Epic Blog, and then a workshop style course that ran. It was like multiple sessions. It was called Zero to Blog, and those were my two introductory products, right? That people would join. They were always kind of available. At first, the Zero to Blog wasn't, but that's beside the point. They were always available, and people would join, and they helped to sell into deeper offers, right? Well, the deal is that with the shifts that we're talking about today, the structures that you can build, critical publishing, your idea management center, an always available intro info product, which we're talking about now, and then an evergreen sales ecosystem, which we'll talk about as the fourth piece. or the fourth structure to put in place, my course started making on average about $22,000 a month. The first month actually probably 17,000 in profit, and then the months following that it was higher. So I've averaged it out here. Um, and this is really due to these changes that I put in place and having the introductory products. And so even the introductory products themselves, which is now the second print book and the second online course, were making a good baseline income so that any of the deeper things that people were buying into was yeah, you get the point. An evergreen introductory info product is going to be one that is designed to be helpful to the person or organization as like that you're marketing to, helping, etc. It's helpful whether the person decides to work with you further or not. It's not just designed only to get somebody to work with you. It has great information in it, so it's a good standalone product. Also, an introductory info product is one that's always available day or night, every day of the month. It needs to be scalable, so meaning it doesn't require us so much more time and more labor to sell more spots in it, right? So if you have a workshop that's live, if 10 people are there or if 100 people are there, you can manage it, right? If you have a book, 18 people could buy it that month, or 18,000 people could buy it that month. So it's scalable without requiring more and more and more from you, right? This product should also pre-qualify your potential clients to some degree and reduce or eliminate where you attract people who are difficult or not a good fit for you, right? And so basically, if people get all the way through the book and decide to reach out, if people get through this workshop and go, oh my gosh, like the way you think about this is perfect for me, I've been looking for the, then they are almost kind of self-selecting, right? And for you, you know that you have some shared language with this person and have pre-qualified them. You can still make them apply for your deeper programs and stuff like that. But you get the point. It helps to pre-qualify. It helps you sell higher ticket offers with a lot more ease because people are already almost kind of like, I don't want to say indoctrinated, right? But they are they have investment in your system. They want to invest more. They like it. It makes sense. You're the first person who's it's just given them clarity on why things weren't working for them before and where they probably want to go. And so it's easier to sell into your higher ticket offers, right? It gives the person all the info and inspiration they need, whether to hire you for more. It does a better job of selling your further offers than the endless sales calls that you might need to get on. Because again, people are self-selecting and they're excited to get to work with you. It gets you out of the mode of spending time and energy making up new offers every single month or every time you talk to a client, you're invent, oh, we can do that and we can do that. And it also helps you make a baseline income and shares your unique approach, your unique thought leadership with people at scale. So that is what an introductory info product is designed to do. Inside the 3-day thought leadership course, we have 2 modules on creating an introductory info product and building it into an evergreen sales ecosystem. Okay. So among other lessons, you're going to have a 1-hour masterclass on creating a signature thought leadership workshop as your product. A 48-minute training on creating a thought leadership book as your introductory info product. 20-minute lesson on launching a recurring subscription if you want to. Also, there's 55-minute training on running lean ads, right? $1 a day, $3 a day, whatever it may be as a thought leader to get people into your introductory product. There's a 90-minute training on search engine optimized text, video, or audio, et cetera, et cetera. You can check that out later, prolificpublisher.com/TLC, as in thought leadership course. Let's go through the fourth structure real quick. And that is you are going to replace the fluctuating sales that happen, the endless hustling that you're doing to get people on sales calls. And in some industries, replace even the sales calls themselves, which I don't know why I'm doing that to mean sales calls. You're going to replace that with a system that spreads your thought leadership, your ideas, and sells your intro product that we were talking about day and night. So not only do you have to have this product exist, right? But we need an evergreen sales ecosystem around the product, and it can't just put up a book and they will buy it. It could happen if it's on a marketplace like Amazon, but you get the point. We want to build a sales system. A thought leadership funnel or a customer journey is going to be different from your average sales funnel. And the reason is very real here, right? The nature of your work as a thought leader means that your ideas occupy space in people's thoughts more than the average content or product, right? More than somebody thinks deeply about a toaster oven, or that toaster oven commercial that they saw, or heard or whatever on the radio 10 days ago. Your work occupies space in people's thoughts to a different level, right? You help people with that life-changing transformational stuff. And that means, because of that, that means the other person has to participate in the work for your ideas and processes to transform their lives, right? Um, you could just I will, of course, you with a toaster oven, you do have to put the toast in, but you get the point, right? Where it's like it can be minimal effort from somebody and they're going to get toast every single time. With your ideas, they really have to, they're signing up for something. They're signing up for a different way of approaching something, right? So you're not selling a simple product they can use as is. They have to be willing to co-think with you into a new place. So whereas, again, the traditional funnel that we talked about is like know, like, trust, which the word that's kind of left off there but implied is like know me, like me, trust me. That funnel doesn't work for a thought leader. That approach doesn't work for selling meaningful, impactful stuff as well as a think, spark, invest funnel, if you will, or approach, where you get somebody to think about something in a new way. You create content that is a spark for them to seek out some type of new solution, new system for their most important goals, and then you invite them to invest in a system that will help, right? So when you design a sales ecosystem the way that we approach it and the way that we teach it in the course, you are going to have something that converts people from cold, meaning someone who hasn't heard of you yesterday is buying from you today, or they become a customer within a week, right? So it converts from cold, and it has at least one direct path. So it has a short sales cycle, right? So for the person who's ready to buy, for the person who's ready to invest in a solution, they don't need to be on your email list for 7 months. They don't need to watch, 22 YouTube videos. If they do, cool. There is a direct path from maybe your lean ads or your search engine optimized podcast piece into your introductory offer. So it's going to convert from cold. It's going to have a short sales cycle for people who are ready to invest in a solution. It's going to hopefully build out a baseline income for you so that you have more options. Do you want to take some time off to write a book? Do you want to reduce the one-on-one clients that you have, et cetera, et cetera? Another thing about an evergreen thought leadership sales ecosystem, the way we teach it, is it needs to be fueled by a scaled reach method. So again, you're not having to show up on social media for 5 hours a day to get maybe two people on your email list or whatever it may be. And then maybe, after you have 100 people on your list, then you convert 1 to 3% of those. Like that's not what we're talking about, right? We want something that's a scaled reach method. So again, probably search engine optimized video content, audio content, text-based content, lean ads, something like that that you can scale up or well, yes, you could scale ads down. You probably wouldn't want to scale search engine optimized content down, but you get the point. Another great thing about the way we teach sales ecosystems that are always on, always working, is that they don't require a yes from a collaborator to work. So you don't have to be featured on somebody's podcast or get this and that, guest whatever. And again, you don't have to be constantly on social media for it to work. When you do those things, when you do use social media organically, when you do say yes to podcast features or whatever, it adds to your ecosystem. It builds out the places that people might come in contact with your content, and it gets them to start thinking. But you have at least one path that is direct, that doesn't require a yes from somebody else. It can always be on. It's scalable, and it's selling into your introductory offer. This is the real life, one of the real life ones that I have set up. Lean ads, I also have SEO going to an essay. to the live workshop. And sometimes the person goes straight from the ad to the workshop, skipping the essay. Okay. And on screen, I have a screenshot of, one of the ads that I have been running. It looks like I posted it organically in November of 2021 and then started running it as an ad shortly after that. Um, it has, for example, it has 8,000, or at the time I took this screenshot, 8,134 saves. Um, I don't pay as much attention to likes. What I personally, when I see it, when I have like dig into my analytics, if I have a high save to like ratio, or if my saves are even more than my likes, that lets me know this is a good piece to potentially turn into ads. So just really the number of saves is important, and the ratio as well. So I look for saves, I look for shares, comments, things like that. So this has 8,000 saves since using like doing like a low budget ad on it, a lean budget ad. And then it has caused 4,513 new follows of my account, right? So this is um, 4,500 new followers that I didn't do extra labor for, okay? And I have clients set up doing lean ads on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I'll put an asterisk there because they require a budget of at least $10 a day, whereas the other platforms you can do lower than that. Anyway, so your thought leadership ecosystem, you can have a bunch of different things. You have different options. We talk more about the Think, Spark, Invest, and Reinvest system inside the class, but basically, you want to create vivid, meaningful SEO or ads content for your first layer, which it just gets people thinking. The ad content can't be a basic ad. It needs to be a thought leadership ad. It needs to be really high quality content. So maybe using some of those prompts we did earlier in this training. Then we go from the ad to the spark layer. This is where you're leading somebody to a content piece or an experience that causes someone to sit with your ideas for a little bit longer, and it causes a spark for that from that person. So in my example, I use an essay. A lot of my clients use an essay. Mine takes about 13, 15 minutes to read. My clients, some of them it's similar, some of them it's only like 5 to 8 minutes. But the idea is the person is sitting with your thoughts for a lot longer than the 2 seconds it takes to tap on something on Instagram or retweet something or like something on Twitter. You get the point. So that causes a spark. They're like, I kind of like this system. I think I might want to see more about this. And so then that invites them to make their first investment in your system. Maybe it's a workshop, maybe it's a book, and then a reinvestment, maybe a one-on-one service that you have, a group program, etc. Okay, so this is a real life ecosystem we have set up and have been running for quite some time now, and really love and have also implemented with clients. And for some reason, I have on screen a screenshot from traffic statistics from my website. I guess maybe to highlight search engine optimization there. Okay, so you'll have different options for filling out your Think, Spark, Invest, and Reinvest um, funnel, or as we call it, a thought leadership sales ecosystem. We have two modules on this inside the 3-day thought leadership content strategy course, but you have Think. This could be SEO. This could be, you could use organic social media for this. Of course, the way we want you to build out your evergreen one would be, again, things that don't require extra label. Why do I keep labor? You have your Spark, Invest, Reinvest. You'll have options for what you want to fill in there. Okay, so you're replacing this, as we talked about already, you're replacing the many hours per month on social media, many hours per month on sales calls, and that might not apply to every industry. Some industries, you might still get on sales calls, but you can use an introductory product to pre-qualify and earn money before that place as well. But anyway, you're replacing the sales calls in theory, selling into your group program. So you're replacing all of that with an ecosystem like this, right? Think, oh, we have a lean evergreen ad on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Spark, we got the thought-provoking video essay or masterclass that people can watch. Invest, we have a signature weekend workshop. And then finally, you're buying Rainelli's 5K holistic wellness group program. Whatever it may be, yours will be filled in with different stuff. Again, we have two modules on this inside the Thought Leadership Content Strategy course, so you can totally refer to that. So these were the structures that changed everything for me, and I think can be very magical, very impactful for you. They have been really had made such a difference for the people who've taken the thought leadership course, and for people like clients that I've worked with um, a little deeper on these things or in group programs. But Critical Publishing, Idea Management Center, always on, always available intro product, and an evergreen sales ecosystem that's selling that intro product and, in theory, your deeper offer. And after 10 years of using and improving these systems, these structures, my whole mission is to help thought leaders execute on them in better and better ways. Okay, so again, the four structures you need, we talked about those. We go in depth on each structure plus so much more inside the 3-day thought leadership content strategy course. So I would totally love to invite you to that. It has, as soon as you register, you get a self-paced version of all 8 main modules. Then you can come to the 3 days of live implementation and guidance. You get the bonus challenge, the 28-day intellectual property push, where you can practice all of these things and create really transformational content. You get a downloadable PDF of the whole course. All future updates and live sessions of the course are included. You can come back. Many people choose to come back multiple times and implement new things each time. And then finally, you get the Notion template, the Idea Management Center. You can create a free Notion account if you don't have one already, or if you do have one, you already know how wonderful it is. Or you can modify the center that we've built in some other platform that you want, but you get the template of the Idea Management Center as well. All of this is available for under $400. Go to prolificpublisher.com/TLC for Thought Leadership course to register, find out more, register. I would love to see you there.